This is Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, created when Sega realized they needed a mascot that wasn't Alex Kidd, so instead they went with a very 90s blue hedgehog that runs really fast. So the object of this game is simple. You just run to the right and you get to the goal, but along the way you're going to want to pick up rings because rings are your health. So if you get hit without rings, you're dead, but if you get hit with rings, they will actually scatter everywhere. You do get a chance to pick them up again, though, after you're done being thrown off your feet. In addition, you also have the ability to roll, but if you're familiar with later Sonic games, you do not have the ability to spin dash, because while apparently slopes in this game were actually a fairly big technical feat, they didn't actually think of ways to easily get up said slopes, or they didn't think you'd need that, so at times it can actually be difficult to get up hills because you don't have the momentum. In addition, by the end of the stage you're going to want to keep 50 rings, which should be easy thanks to the shield, which will allow me to take a hit without losing rings. But if you have 50 rings, that giant ring will appear at the end past this goal point, and you'll be able to access a special stage. Batwang. So just like other special stages in the Sonic series, we're coming in here for a Chaos Emerald, though there are only 6 in the game, and as such we can't go Supersonic. So this special stage isn't that difficult, but it's a very good drunkenness simulator, I think. Seriously, it just keeps spinning and spinning, and the music is just... ugh. I almost feel like throwing up. Anyway, there's the Chaos Emerald. This first one's easy to get, but it's surrounded by these little crystal thingamajigs. The more you brush up against them, they will eventually disappear, but if you brush up against the sides, they might turn into those gold blocks, which you don't want to touch because the gold blocks will take you out of the special stage without a Chaos Emerald. So, Zone 2, or Act 2 rather. Well, since I've gone over the very basics, might as well go over the area itself. This is Green Hill Zone. It's rather famous, mainly because of the music, though admittedly it is a very nice aesthetic. That is one thing I really like about the Sonic games. They have very good level themes. Even when a level theme is fairly basic, it's still creative in its own way, and just managed to get past that loop. But yes, take Green Hill for instance. Yes, it's your typical grassy level, but it looks really nice to the point where you kind of just forget about the fact that it's just sort of a generic grassland. Unlike in Mario games where you get to a grassland and it's like, yeah, I know what I'm going to expect here. Grass, maybe some trees, and platforms. Of course, they keep repeating the Green Hill theme, well, both the theme and the actual aesthetic, over and over again, so it's a little tired in its own right. Anyway, second special stage. This one isn't too much harder. In general, if you're at least decently familiar, these special stages aren't too difficult. Though then again, sometimes it's down to luck depending on how the stage rotates. This isn't a nightmare to control by any means, but it's not the easiest at times either. And imagine the background isn't the best too, it just keeps transforming and everything is spinning and the music, oh god, the music. Ugh. Thankfully we're at the end. Once those little, I guess, mint candies fill in, they're transparent, but once you go past them you're trapped in an area, but once you're here, yeah, you know you're out the Chaos Emerald, and since there's no time limit, you just have as long as you need to get to the sides. Just again, you're going to want to stay on the sides as much as you can, because, yeah, brushing up against the sides, as a reminder, will take you out of the special stage, but if you get yourself wedged into an area like this, you've pretty much won. And there we go, we're already a third of the way through the Chaos Emeralds. These are actually fairly easy to get in this game. Unlike Sonic 2, where the Chaos Emeralds are terrible. Anyway, again, if you're familiar with later games, the first game is actually a bit different in that there are actually 3 acts rather than just 2, which is why we didn't actually encounter a boss last time. However, at the end of this stage we will encounter a boss, and of course we will be seeing Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman depending on what region you're in, or sometimes it's Dr. Robotnik forever depending on how pedantic you are. Seriously though, it's both. Just stop arguing about that. But anyway, yes. Dr. Robotnik was apparently his character design was actually supposed to be, well, it was considered to be one of the mascots that Sega was coming up with, and originally he was actually based off Teddy Roosevelt in pajamas, so, yeah, it's a pretty interesting thought, really, but in the end he ended up a scientist who will now try to kill us with a wrecking ball. It can be a little difficult to get the momentum of this thing down, and you might jump off of Eggman and into the wrecking ball, but if you grab this invincibility, this battle is even easier than it already is. And even if I did have 50 rings, you can't actually get a gold, or a bonus ring here, rather. We just hit this capsule and free the animals, which Dr. Robotnik was planning on stuffing into tiny little robots because that's sort of his thing. But we saved them because we're Sonic the Hedgehog.